News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Wednesday on Wall Street, where bonds slid and stocks extended their losses on signs that the Fed is concerned about inflation. That may be shifting, though. Of course, we'll have more on that just ahead. But first, let's bring you the closing numbers. We do it for you each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 down 15 points. NASDAQ down 142 points. The Dow gained almost 16 points. The 10-year Treasury yield is lower, now at 4.28%, and the 2-year yield at 3.75%. Now, one reason for this shift in the markets, newly released Fed minutes from the July meeting show most Federal Reserve officials saw inflation as a greater risk than a cooling labor market. Bloomberg's Stuart Paul says, remember, this is a meeting that took place before months of labor data were revised lower.
The majority saw inflation risks outweighing employment risk at the time that the FOMC met to make that interest rate decision. And as these minutes were being written, most saw inflation risk outweighing unemployment risk. That's likely shifting right now.
Bloomberg's Stuart Paul called the mood incrementally more hawkish than in June. The director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Bill Pulte, is urging Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook over a pair of mortgages. Pulte tells CNBC this is not about the White House call for Fed Chair Jay Powell to step aside.
To be honest, I think she needs to resign quickly. You know, I say these things about Powell needing to resign and everything on the political side. This is very different, okay? And I also have some issues with the building, but those are policy issues, okay? I'm putting my regulator hat on today. I've never accused Jay Powell of something like this.
Pulte alleges Cook falsified documents to get a more favorable loan. Bloomberg's Michael McKee.
Well, you have to figure that in this case, what he's looking for is to get a resignation so he would have another seat to fill. But this seems to be part of the ongoing Trump revenge tour here, where he has asked people to go after certain folks and try to get them in legal trouble.
Bloomberg's Mike McKee. A resignation would create another opening for Trump on the Fed board. The Wall Street Journal quotes a senior White House official and another person familiar with the matter as saying President Trump told his aides he is considering firing Cook for cause. Citigroup hired law firm Paul Weiss to investigate complaints about the behavior of wealth management chief Andy Sieg, according to people who have direct knowledge of the matter. Sieg has drawn complaints from current and former staff accusing him of intimidating and unfairly sidelining employees since he arrived almost 2 years ago. Bloomberg's Todd Gillespie says Sieg's division also pulled in a record $2.2 billion in revenue in the second quarter.
It's important to note that Citi, that the performance of their wealth business has improved under Andy's leadership. They posted record second quarter revenue, and the bank seems to be standing by him and say that they look forward to continued business success under his leadership.
Bloomberg's Todd Gillespie. That investigation is now complete, but the bank declined to comment on the outcome. A changing of the guard at Target. The retailer has named veteran Michael Fidell as its next chief executive officer. Target shares slumped on the news, which indicates that Wall Street had been hoping for an outsider to take over. Target shares are down about 6% in regular trading. That is the most in almost 20 weeks. A federal judge has denied the Trump administration's request to release grand jury testimony from Jeffrey Epstein's criminal case, saying the Justice Department is the logical party to disclose any information about Epstein. The judge said there was no special circumstance to justify releasing those files and that the government already has a, quote, trove of documents and interviews to share with the public. The latest Ipsos poll shows uncertainty about the economy, especially when it comes to Trump tariffs. Cliff Young of Ipsos.
They see tariffs as inflationary, and they have since the get-go. On the flip side, they do see the benefits as well, how tariffs might bring back jobs to America, especially among independents. There's a lot more trepidation when it comes to long-term benefits with respect to tariffs.
And you can hear that entire interview with Cliff Young at Ipsos on the Balance of Power podcast. Well, they have a quorum now. The Republican-controlled Texas legislature is expected to pass a new congressional map today, creating 5 new winnable seats for the GOP. Now, this vote follows a push by President Trump, who is trying to preserve the Republican majority in the House. Democrats are already vowing a blue states payback for that map, setting the stage for a national redistricting battle. Even though Hurricane Erin is expected to remain well off the East Coast, mandatory evacuation orders are in place for some of North Carolina's barrier islands. Various weather warnings are in effect all along the eastern coastline from Florida to Maine. National Hurricane Center Director Meteorologist Michael Brennan.
The highest water is expected to be in the oceanside area of the Outer Banks from late today through Thursday and into Friday. And there's going to be large waves expected to cause significant severe beach and coastal damage, potential for roads on the Outer Banks to be washed out and possibly impassable at high tide.
Hurricane Erin is generating rough surf and bringing the threat of rip currents along the eastern seaboard. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.